All right, so today, boys and girls, we are on lesson 1.8, and we're going to learn how to count and order to the number 5.
How do you know that the order of numbers is the same as a set of objects that is one larger?
Hi there! Look at these pretty leaves. They must have fallen from that tree. And they're different colors, too. I wonder how many leaves of each color there are. Click the yellow leaf to put them into rows by color. That's much better. Now we can see the leaves in each row. Click the red leaf to get a good look at each group. I don't think the groups are in order from smallest to biggest. That's called counting order. Putting the leaves in counting order will help us figure out which color leaf piles are bigger or smaller than the other color leaf piles. And it will help us count the total number of leaves. Do you know how to do that? Come on, let's find out more.
Can you count the caps? Select the cap to start. 1. Click them to count. 1, 2. Another cap. Count them now. 1, 2, 3. One more cap. Now count these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another cap. That's a lot of caps. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Terrific! You counted to 5. The last number you count tells the total number of caps. Let's count to find the number of objects in each of these groups. Click the baseball to begin. 1. There is 1 baseball. Click them to count. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 footballs. How many basketballs are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 basketballs. How many soccer balls are there? 1, 2. There are 2 soccer balls. Let's count the beach balls. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 beach balls. Now put the numbers in order. Find 1 and drag it to the first box at the top.
So notice that although we counted all the objects, the numbers are not in the correct order. Because when we count, we do not count 1, 3, 5, 2, 4. That's not the correct counting order. We counted the objects correctly, but now it's our job to put the numbers in order, starting with 1 all the way to the number 5.
Good job! 1 comes first. What number comes after 1? 2. Find 2 and drag it to the next box. Good job! 2 comes after 1. What number comes after 2? 3. Find 3 and drag it to the next box. That's right! 3 comes next. What number comes after 3? 4. Find 4 and drag it to the next box. Great! 4 comes next. What number comes after 4? 5. Drag it to the last box. Great! Let's count the numbers in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, boys and girls, so now we're going to get ready to work in our math books. So you should have your math books in front of you. We are on page 55 today. That is lesson 1.8. And we're learning how to put in order from 1 to the number 5, okay? So first page, they want us to illustrate the counting cubes, and we have to make towers. So we're gonna be making buildings, tall buildings. So you know what we're gonna do? I know that the counting cube is in the shape of a square, and then they have a circle in the middle, and then they have this little rectangle on the top. Don't worry about adding all those details. Let's just focus on illustrating the squares, okay? So for the first number, they have it done for us already. So all they want us to do is trace that counting cube. So I'm only gonna trace the square. Okay, so that shows that I have 1 counting cube, okay? So now the next number is the number 2. So I have to show 2 counting cubes. So I'm gonna illustrate 2 squares, one on top of the other, right on top of the number 2. So this is gonna be 1, 2, okay? Take your time, like I've said. I know some children might work a little faster than others. So Ms. Kasha's gonna move along, and we're gonna do the next number. The next number is the number 3. Yes, Gracie Mani.
I don't know how to do it.
You don't know how to do
Draw
a square.
boxes.
Yeah,
Draw 2 boxes over top of the number 2.
I don't know how to.
Try your best, Gracie Mani, because remember, the shape of a square, all the sides are the same length, okay? So even if they might not come out perfect, it's okay. Don't worry. As long as you have 2 objects that look like squares, and we're showing that number 2. So now we're going to do 3. So we're going to do 1 on top of the other with 3 squares right on above the number 3. So here's 1, 2, 3. Okay. Like I said, take your time. If your squares do not come out in the best way, it's okay. Just try your best. It's okay to make mistakes, because when you're making your mistakes, you're going to learn from them and you're going to do better. Okay? All right, next number is the number 4. So we're going to put 4 squares, one right on top of the other. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 squares. And notice our buildings, our towers are getting taller and taller. That's because we're using more squares to show that number. I'll give you guys a few seconds and then we're gonna do the last number, which is the number 5. Yes, Elijah, you have a question? I thought I saw your hand up.
Already done.
You did the number 5 already? You did do the number 5 already. Great job, Elijah. Thank you for sharing. I just like to give friends a few extra minutes so that way if they need time to draw theirs, they have that extra time. So now we're going to do the number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there we have our tall towers in order from 1 all the way to the number 5. It looks pretty awesome now that they go in order because it goes from smallest number to the greatest number. I'll give you guys a few more seconds. And then I'm going to move on to the next 2 pages. All right, next page. Here, this time, instead of making tall towers, now they want us to make choo-choo trains. So trains are long and they go across, okay? So they did the first number for us. The first number is the number 1, and they illustrated 1 counting cube. So all we have to do is trace the number 1, and then trace the square that connects to the number 1. And now our job is to go in order from 1 all the way to the number 5. We're gonna have to write the number on the line, and then we're going to illustrate the squares. This time they're gonna be side by side like a choo-choo train. So we gotta make a choo-choo train with the squares that we draw for each of the numbers, okay? So after the number 1 is gonna be the number 2. So we're gonna write the number 2 on the next line right underneath the number 1. So everyone write the number 2. And now we're gonna illustrate 2 squares, 2 counting cubes. This time it's side by side. And be careful not to make it too big because Ms. Castro noticed that I made it a little too big and then I might be coming off the page. So for the next couple of numbers, be careful not to make it too big. All right, the next number. After the number 2 comes the number 3. So we have to write the number 3 on the next line, and then we're going to illustrate 3 squares side by side right next to each other, making the choo-choo train. So here's the number 3. Here's 1 square, 2 squares, 3 squares. All right, the next number is the number 4. So now we write the number 4 on the next line, and we're going to illustrate 4 squares side by side, making a long choo-choo train. Here's the number 4. And now we're going to illustrate 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys are doing great. Each day that we're practicing our math skills, you guys are learning something brand new. And I see you all working very hard in your math books with the pencil in your hand, so that is excellent. Very proud of you guys. All right, the last number is the number 5. So that's the last number that we are writing on the line, and then we have to illustrate 5 squares side by side next to each other. So here's the number 5. 1 square, 2 squares, 3 squares, 4 squares, 5 squares. And luckily, Miss Casha was able to squeeze in that 5th square on the page. So now we have written the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we showed each number by illustrating those squares side by side. So we made long choo-choo trains, okay? Now, on the next page, it's almost something similar, which means it's almost the same like what they showed us in the video. First, we're going to count the objects. Then, we're going to write the number next to the objects. And the last part, we have to put the numbers in the correct order because they're not going to be in the correct order. Okay? So, first we have a pink notebook. I'm going to put my magic finger on that pink notebook and I'm going to count to see how many I have. 1. So I counted 1. So I'm going to write the number 1 on the line next to the pink notebook. Next, I need to count scissors. So I'm going to put my magic finger on each pair of scissors and I'm going to count out loud to see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. I counted 4 scissors. That was the last number that I counted. So 4 is what I'm going to write on the line. Next set of objects, they have books. I'm going to touch each book with my magic finger and I'm going to count out loud. 1, 2. 2 was the last number that I counted, so I'm going to write the number 2. Next set of objects, the erasers. I'm going to touch with my magic finger each eraser and I'm going to count out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 was the last number that I counted, so 5 is going to be my last number. Okay, now we're going to do the last set of objects, which are the supplies boxes. That's where you store all of your supplies, your pencils, crayons, colored pencils, scissors, glue. Let's count that and write the number next to it. 1, 2, 3. I counted 3, so 3 is the number that I put on the line. Now, let's take a look at the numbers, boys and girls. We have 1, 4, 2, 5, 3. Do we count like that, boys and girls? Give me a thumbs up if we count like that. If we don't count like that, put a thumbs down. Excellent, good. I see a lot of you put your thumbs down. Good, okay, hold your pencil again. Our next job we have to put the numbers in the right order. So the first number is going to be 1. So down below, you're going to write the number 1 on the first line. Now, when we count, think of what's going to be the next number. We always count 1, 2. So the next number that we write is number 2. And then keep thinking about the next number when we count the numbers. It's 1, 2, 3. So 3 is going to be the next number that we write on the line. Keep going back and thinking about what's the next number. We always start with 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 is going to be the next number that we write on the line. And when we keep counting again, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is our last number, and that's what we write on line. Okay? And that is it. The last page on the back, boys and girls, feel free to do it on your own time, but the most important pages are the first 3 pages, okay? So this is your job today. This is what you're doing for your Google Classroom assignment. If you look on the next page, it's page 59, 59 and 60. I'm going to show it to you guys right now. It's more or less what we had to do just now. You have to first count the objects that you see. The numbers are not going to be in the correct order. So on the bottom, your job is to put the numbers in order, starting with 1 until you stop at the number 5. So let me actually show you your Google Classroom assignment. All right, today the attendance is due. Lowercase a, day 1, here's lesson 1.8. Lesson 1.8 math assignment, and also don't forget your sight word is also due, sight word of I. So in your math books, you're working on pages 59. You're going to count all of these beach objects, and you're going to do exactly what we just did right now together, boys and girls. Count each object, write the numbers for each of the objects. The numbers are not going to be in the correct order. So on the bottom, your job is to put them in order from 1 to the number 5. Then on the back, page 60, you're tracing the numbers and filling in the number that's missing. Then you count the stars, you write the number, and the last part you trace the number 3, and you illustrate 3 by drawing 3 circles and labeling with the numbers 1, 2, 3. So we get more practice writing our numbers, okay? If for some reason you don't have the math book or you want your child to do extra work, it's page 1.37 and 1.38. Okay? But all of you should have your math books by now. Right?